This is a tendency to attribute positive events and occurrences to yourself and negative events to the external world. So when things happen negatively, it's the world's fault. And when things go well, the reason why it's going well is because you're the man or the woman. I'll give a few examples of this because you probably use it every single day. I use it too. Let's take a basketball team. They win and they attribute the win to how great of a team they are. Of course we won. We're a great team. If that same basketball team loses, it's the ref's fault. The ref is playing favorites, and that's why they lost. So that's the first example. Second example is a guy gets a girl. I'm the man. Of course I got her. Of course I got her. Look at me. I'm the man. Other situation, he gets rejected. Oh, she's dumb. I didn't want her anyways. Something's wrong with her. Another example is an executive is on time to his meeting, and the meeting goes well. He's like, oh, I'm a great executive. I'm sharp. I'm prompt. Of course, the meeting went well. I organized this perfectly, and I was on time. That's awesome. That same executive, he's late. He'll be like, oh, the traffic. People can't drive. Whatever city they're in. Let's say it's Philadelphia. People can't drive in Philadelphia. Look at these maniacs out here. And he blames it on the traffic. And if the meeting doesn't go well, oh, people weren't paying attention. It's their fault. Another example is someone makes a lot of money in a year and they're like, oh, I worked so hard. Of course I made all this money. And the opposite situation, they'll be like, it's the government's fault. I'm not getting paid enough. My boss plays favorites, etc., etc. And I'll give a last example. A guy that's out of shape, he could be like, well, working out's for insecure people, or the gym is closed, or I can't work out. In another situation where he is in shape, he'll be like, oh yeah, I work out and I look good because I put in the work in the gym. So what is this bias essentially? Like, what is the actual reason? Like, why do we have this bias? It's pretty simple, actually. This bias is really just to maintain self-esteem and self-confidence. It's really just to preserve our self-image, right? We want to look ourselves a certain way. So this bias allows us to do that because, trust me, as you go about the day, a lot of things are your fault. a lot of things are your fault. But this bias helps you keep that self-esteem, that self-image of, hey, I'm a great person. Hey, I'm a great husband. Hey, I'm a great NASCAR driver. I'm a great politician. I'm a great stock market trader. I'm a great, Christian. I'm a great this, and that. This allows you to preserve that self-image that you have about yourself. And especially in Western culture, this culture is all about being great and being top of line, being an awesome person, achieving things. So when you achieve things, you're in line with that Western culture ideal if you're in the West. And it feels good, honestly. Positive events due to behavior. I can think of another example pertaining to basketball. You can tell I'm a basketball fan. If an athlete is on a sucky team, his team sucks. Like these people can't rebound or or score or play defense or anything, and they don't get to the free throw line, they don't do anything essentially, he'll blame everything on the team. But if the team wins, he can say, oh, I willed my team to win and we're doing good because of that. So that's just another example that just popped in my head. But yeah, going back to the Western culture, that's really what it's all about. It's very prevalent in Western culture, and it's likely to be less prevalent in collectivist cultures, cultures where achievement's more based off of a family unit or a community or a tribal structure that's around. So, for example, in lots of tribes and countries in Africa, there is a collective mindset, right? The family is get put first. The family structure is what's key. That way, the individuals can benefit from it. So it's less of a self-serving ideal, more of a let's help the family unit. That way, each of us can benefit. And it's completely contrast from, the West. I think by now you can clearly see the downsides of the self-serving bias. I mean, right off the bat, you just don't learn from your mistakes. You don't learn from when you mess up. You don't get better. You just stay the same, and you're blaming the outside world, and this leads to victim mindset, to limiting beliefs, and downright narcissism, honestly. Self-serving bias is very prevalent in narcissistic people because narcissistic people think they're right about everything. Now, I'm not bashing narcissistic people. I made a video about understanding narcissism, which looks like that. Yeah, that thumbnail right there, that's Sharon Stone. Beautiful. Anyways, narcissism is your inability to see the outside of your own frame of reference, your own mind state. All the great stuff comes from you, and anything that happens that's negative is the outside world, which by definition is pretty much the self-serving bias. But again, there are different kind of forms of narcissism. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but you get my drift. Another thing I found, which was pretty eye-opening about the self-serving bias, is that it's more prevalent in men than in women. And I guess this makes sense because if you look at it, you know, confidence is a very important male trait. I shouldn't say male trait. Everyone can have confidence. I'm saying confidence is a very important trait for a male to have, especially a man, as men are expected to provide for the family unit and themselves and this, that, and the third. Confidence is extremely important. It helps you in your career. It helps you in your, you know, your dealings with other people socially. It helps you achieve things. It's such an important trait to have. I can't say enough things about confidence. The self-serving bias, in a sense, will help you preserve confidence, but in my opinion, it's not true confidence. If your confidence is shaken by something being your fault, that means you don't have true confidence, because true confidence is trust that you can do something, or belief in yourself that you can accomplish something. So if something is your fault and then your confidence just goes away because of that, I mean, that means it was flimsy to begin with. In a sense, I see why it's more prevalent in men, the self-serving bias, but at the same time, you should have that internal affirmation, that internal belief that you can honestly withstand anything. Like, you're Zeus, you're He-Man, you're Superman, you're Batman, like you're Bruce Lee, you're up there. This isn't in a narcissistic way, though. It's in a healthy, strong, I'm the man, I can get this done, but I can still allow myself to be wrong in situations and understand that if I'm wrong in situations, that's okay, because I can grow from the lesson I've learned from that situation I was wronged in. It's also seen that in self-serving bias, people that deal with depression, unfortunately, kind of use this in a different way, as in, if somebody's depressed, they'll attribute negative events to what they're doing and positive events to the outside world, or luck, or, oh, you know, I got lucky, you know, good thing that was good, but, you know, it only happens now and then. So that's kind of how depressed people can fall into the self-serving bias in a really negative way. Again, this all comes down to really your locus of control. So locus of control is basically, you either have internal or external locus of control, or kind of like maybe a mix of the two. Internal is, change in the world happens because of me, right? My reality is at the whims of my own doing. And an external locus of control is, my reality is at the hands of the outside world, pendulums. It's at the hands of other people. That's the external locus of control. Now, I would prefer an internal locus of control, because you really do paint your own reality. But a trap of the internal locus of control is you're more susceptible to self-serving bias, because you want to have that good self-image that I can control my reality in a positive way, and the negative events, it's got to be society or the outside world, because ain't no way I'm messing up. You see where that goes? And external locus of control, yes, you may show more humility. Oh yeah, you know, it's my teammates, thank you for that. Or, hey, you know, it's my colleagues that really helped me out. Hey, it's my mentors. That's great. But the too much external locus of control, you know, you feel as though, oh my God, like my life, I can't make a difference in my life. It's all up to fate or destiny. But destiny is something you can paint. It's not set in stone. I'm just not a believer in, I was born this way and I have to stick this way forever. Self-serving bias. This was cognitive bias. This is part 4. Bye.